For those who know my videos, I've been shooting with Fujifilm XT-3 since I started out my videography and photography business. I've dabbled with other camera brands as well, such as Nikon and Sony, but I find the menu of the Fuji system super comfortable to use. Thanks to the menu, I feel in control of the camera and it makes the shooting experience super nice. Since I've seen a lot of you in the comments who have recently gotten the XT-3 or the XT-4, I wanted to show you my go-to settings for great cinematic images. Now let's go over to the top dials. These look pretty nice. They have this retro analog look, but to be honest, I don't really use them. Alright, so first of all we have these top dials, and what I like to do is put the left one on A, which is the ISO setting, and then put the right one on T, which is the shutter speed setting. Now we can see that if we turn the scrolling wheel on the back, it changes the shutter speed. And then for the front wheel, we go to the menu, choose the wrench key, go to button dial settings and search for ISO dial settings. Normally it's set on auto, but we want to put this on command. Now you can choose on here, if we press the button at the front, we choose ISO, and now this wheel changes the ISO. Next, we're going to have a look at the screen setup. I have my EVF brightness set on +2. Normally the EVF brightness is set on auto. Now this might be confusing when you start using your Fujifilm for the first time, because when you're changing rooms, the brightness will change accordingly, and then your brain might think the camera is in auto mode, which is not the case. We'll put this on manual, and then I have set it on +2. And you can choose whatever brightness you like. I don't change the colors, and then same for the LCD brightness. It really depends at what situation you're in. If you're outside and it's harsh daylight, then you might want to put this on +4 or +5, but be mindful because otherwise this will drain a lot of battery power. So for now, I'm going to set this at +2. The colors, I don't touch them. Image display off, auto rotate display on. Natural live view is off. Framing guideline, I choose grid 9. Auto rotate is on. Focus scale units is in meters because I live in Europe. Aperture units for cinema lens is in f number. Then we go over to the custom setting. Most importantly for me is a histogram, but there are a few others I checked. So I suggest I just skip through my settings, and you can pause the video and change your camera accordingly. That was it for the screen setup. Next up we go over to my movie settings. Now it's set in at 4K, and this is what I always shoot at because all of my YouTube videos are in 4K. Normally it's set at 25 frames per second. When I know that I want to slow down my footage, I choose 50 frames per second. For example, when I'm shooting B-roll on a gimbal. But when I'm shooting interviews, I choose 25 frames per second. If you live in America, you probably will pick 24, But I live in Europe, so I pick 25 frames and 50 frames. You can choose 400 megabytes per second, but 200 megabytes per second is fine for me. I think 400 is a bit overkill. Then I have H.265, this is fine for me. Movie compression, long GOP, all intra, is a bit too much. Full HD high-speed recordings are off. I have these set in on my custom buttons, but we'll go over this in the future of this video. Film simulation right now is in Eterna. You can check the other simulations as well, but to me Eterna is the best. My white balance is always set at Kelvin. I used to shoot on auto white balance when I just began with videography. This resulted in a real headache to color an image, because the lighting changed in that frame. Dynamic range 200%, highlight tone 0, shadow tone 0, color is -4. I like my color at -4 because that way I can change some coloring in the post-production process. Sharpness also -2, you can always add some contrast in the post-production process. Noise reduction is at 0. If I'm in a low light condition, I like to add +2, but for now let's leave it at 0. Now it's set in at the Eterna profile, but when I'm on a shoot for more corporate stuff or for a wedding, I choose F-Log. F-Log is a flat color profile made by Fuji, and this is great because you can add in your coloring as you want. You can go really far with this, and there are some great creators on YouTube who explain very well how to color. Peripheral light correction is off. Then the focus area, just leave this in the middle. Focus mode is on area. When I'm shooting video, I don't want to rely on the autofocus system. As good as the autofocus is, I want 100% control, and that's why I shoot in manual mode. It takes some time to get used to, but in the end, you'll get the hang of it. Manual focus assist. This is what I like to use. So as you can see here, I'm focusing right now, and you see the bar on my screen is now in focus because it is red. And if you want to use manual focus like me, then I highly recommend using this. You can choose some other colors, let's say for example blue. Looks cool. Okay, focus check is off. And then these settings, I don't touch those. Zebra settings are off. I don't like to use zebra. I trust my eye and my histogram. I don't really touch the audio setting because I record every audio on my external recorder. Timecode setting, don't really touch that. Tele light, just leave it as it is. And then movie silent control off. Now it's time to go over to the custom button dial settings. So I'm going to show you what settings I have. This button right here is for the face detection on off, which is this small button right here, but I never use this. Function 2, this is the button at the front, which is very hard to reach in my opinion. I don't really use that as well. Then function 3 is the autofocus mode, and this is mainly for my photography settings. Next up we have the film simulation. This is for the left button. On the right button we have the white balance. On the button down we have slow motion settings, and then these are some touchscreen modes, but I never use a touchscreen. Alright, then we go over to the AEL button, and this is the face select. When I want to vlog or take pictures, I like to use a face recognition to help the camera find the faces available. So let's see how this looks on the screen. Let me switch this back to autofocus mode. Okay, if I press up, I can choose between multi or area. Normally this is set in on area, and I control the autofocus with the joystick right here. On the right we have the white balance setting, and I always set this on Kelvin. If I press down, then we have the full HD high-speed recordings or the slow motion settings. So let's say, for example, I want quick access to 120 frames per second, then this is the way to go. And then the button on the left are the film simulations. These are the settings that I use on my Fujifilm X-T3 for the past 3 years. This camera has been serving me so well, and I still use it every day. I hope you guys learned something with this video, and now you can go out and shoot your first videos. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see each other in the next video. Take care.